Oh yo yo rice, good morning, simple student.
We used to fight for Madame OYOH's jollof rice after prep. She was the only food seller allowed inside the school gates. We never questioned it. Not until students started dying in their sleep. OYOH jollof rice. Madame OYOH was the only food seller in St. Paul College. Nobody ever asked why she was the only food seller allowed inside the school. The truth was simple. Madame OYOH was the principal's best friend. No other woman could bring food past the gate. Not even during visiting days. But Madame OYOH would walk in freely, enter the girls' hostel, laugh with the senior girls, even sit in the staff room, like she worked there. People joked that maybe she was an old teacher. We didn't know she was something else. Something worse. Every night after lights out, when students were asleep, Madame OYOH would begin her real work. She didn't just sell jollof. She collected something from the students who ate it. She collected their stars. While they slept, their bodies calm and peaceful, she would come silently. Nobody ever saw her enter. Nobody ever heard the door open. But in the morning, they would wake up tired, empty, or sick. And if she wanted, she could take your life without touching you. But why? Why was she doing it? Every year, Madame OYOH and the principal held a private meeting. It wasn't a school meeting. It was a ritual, a yearly exchange. One year, the principal would sacrifice one of her children. The next year, Madame OYOH would offer one of hers. It had gone on for years. A secret pact sealed with blood. But then came the year when the principal had no child left to offer. Her daughter had died in childbirth. Her son had vanished. She had no one left to give. So she gave permission for something else. Take the students, she told Madame OYOH. Use whatever means you can, to get them. And that was when the jollof rice began. She called it OYOH jollof. She said it would enter your bones. And it did. Every morning, Madame OYOH will carry her tray of jollof rice and enter the campus singing.
Oh yo yo rice, good morning, simple student. How are you? Rice done.
Student could not wait for break to eat Madame OYOH jollof. Soon, parents started noticing. During visiting days, they came in with coolers of food and smiles, but left confused and worried. Their children looked off. Not just tired. Not just stressed. They looked like something inside them had dimmed. Like a part of them had been taken. Some were pale. Some couldn't concentrate. Some just stared blankly, even while eating. The principal always had the same excuse. It's exam season. They've been reading a lot. We're proud of them. She smiled politely, handed out school reports, and waved the parents off like nothing was wrong. And most of them believed her. But not everyone. There was one mother who didn't let things slide. Her name was Mrs. Abir, a strong woman from Port Harcourt. Loud voice, sharp eyes, and never afraid to speak her mind. Her daughter, Amaka, was in SS2. When Mrs. Abir came to visit, she was shocked. Amaka looked thin. Her eyes were red. She couldn't finish a spoon of food, and her hands shook when she tried to open her water bottle. What's wrong with you? She asked. Nothing, Mummy, Amaka said. Just tired. But Mrs. Abir knew her child. Amaka was always sharp, energetic, full of jokes. This girl sitting in front of her looked like a shadow. She turned to the principal, who had come out smiling. What's happening in this school? She asked. Madam, it's just the books. They're reading for exams, the principal replied. Mrs. Abir said. Okay. And she left, not with worry on her face, but fire in her eyes. That night, something else happened. A girl in the dormitory, Rita, didn't eat rice that day. She wasn't fasting, she wasn't sick. She just said the food smelled off and didn't feel hungry. While the others were snoring after lights out, Rita was lying on her bed, wide awake. That was when she heard footsteps. Rita heard the footsteps again and again. At first, she thought maybe it was a hostel prefect. But then, the footsteps came closer. She quickly turned on her side, shut her eyes halfway, and pretended to be asleep. but her heart was pounding. Then she saw her. Madame OYOH. As she entered the dorm, she began to whisper words Rita couldn't understand. The incantation was soft, but the air in the room changed. It felt colder, heavier. Then, right in front of Rita's eyes, Madame OYOH began to shift. Her face had changed, older, cracked, like dried mud. Her fingers were long, and her eyes, they weren't normal. In seconds, she had become an old, terrifying-looking woman. Her teeth long and sharp, her fingernails like curved knives. Her wrapper dragged on the ground behind her, leaving a black trail only Rita seemed to notice. She moved from one bed to another, whispering something and placing one long finger on each student's forehead. Only the student who had eaten jollof rice that evening. As her finger touched their skin, a faint grey smoke rose from their heads and floated into the small black pot she carried. Rita was shaking. She could barely breathe. Her whole body was frozen, but her eyes were wide open now. When Madame OYOH got close to her bed, Rita almost screamed, but she grabbed her blanket and covered her mouth, tears running down her face. Madame OYOH stood by her bed for a moment, sniffing the air. Then she turned away. She didn't touch Rita. She didn't take anything from her. Because Rita hadn't eaten the rice. When she was done, Madame OYOH turned, whispered something into the pot, and walked out the same way she came in. It took Rita over an hour to move. When she finally sat up, she checked the faces of the girls around her. They were all sleeping peacefully. It took Rita over an hour to move. When she finally sat up, she checked the faces of the girls around her. They were all sleeping peacefully. The next morning, the dorm was quiet. Too quiet. Usually, girls would be rushing for buckets, shouting about who stole whose sponge, or running late for morning devotion. But not today. Those who had eaten the rice looked drained. Their eyes were dull, their steps slow, like sleepwalkers. Even the loudest ones barely said a word. Rita sat on her bed, sweating. She couldn't unsee what she saw last night. She thought about telling the matron, but what if no one believed her? What if they thought she was going mad? Then she remembered what Madame OYOH looked like, when she paused beside her bed. That sniff. That slight tilt of the head. She almost knew Rita was awake. What if she already knew? By afternoon, news spread across the hostel. A marker had fainted in class. She was taken to the sick bay, but she wasn't responding. She wasn't talking. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't blinking. After prep that night, while everyone was heading back to the hostel, Rita broke school rules for the first time. She sneaked out. She walked quietly to the small bungalow by the gate, the building where parents usually stayed when they visited. It was almost empty, except for one woman sitting outside with her head in her hands. Amaka's mother. She had not left. Rita didn't know what gave her the courage, but she walked straight to her. "Ma, did you heard what happened to your daughter?" The woman looked up slowly. Her face was tired, but her eyes were sharp. Rita told her everything, plus Madame OYOH's transformation. Mrs. Abir was shocked and couldn't not believe her ears. "Go back to the dormitory," Mrs. Abir said. "I will handle this myself." Rita ran back toward the hostel as fast as she could, careful not to make noise or get seen. Her heart was beating fast. She reached the dormitory door.